Hey guys, it's Carl, and just before we start the video, I'm pleased to inform you that recently I've upgraded my microphone to the Blue Yeti. What this means is that my voiceovers will sound much higher in quality and more pleasing to the ear. I just wanted to get that out of the way, so let's get right back into the regular video. Hey guys, what's up? And today on our hands we have yet another weapon guide. I know that I might be getting a little bit old, only having man versus machine related content on my channel right now, and I know that that might disappoint some people, but I can assure you that with patience, non-man versus machine content will eventually come. Now with that being said, let's not beat around the bush anymore. Our topic for today is none other than melee weapons for the engineer. As the hard-hatted construction worker, your choice of melee weapon is actually very important. This is because all of the wrenches tend to do something much different than each other. While at the base of their core, they all might repair and upgrade buildings, the way they do it tends to be extremely different from wrench to wrench. So, that's why we'll be analyzing the weapons, and coming to a conclusion that might satisfy most people on the topic of which wrench should I choose for the engineer in man versus machine. Let's start with a more basic wrench, the stock. The stock has no stats, and so it lays the groundwork for any other wrench after it. The stock has a moderately timed swing speed and has an average damage per hit of 65. This wrench may be slower than a wrench like the Jag. Most of its downsides can be remedied with the use of upgrades, however. Your slow setups can be instantly bypassed with the use of upgrade canteens, and its slower swing speed can be upgraded up to 40% faster. Because of the fact that you have no negative downsides when using the stock wrench, nothing will really impede your ability to use the wrench effectively. This makes it an extremely solid choice for most scenarios. Overall, the stock wrench is a very dependable weapon, with no downsides, making it a great choice for any scenario. The next weapon that we have on our agenda is the Southern Hospitality. This weapon has the unique ability of making enemies bleed on hit for 5 seconds. With this comes the cost of random critical hits, as well as a negative 30% fire resistance penalty. To give you some context, this is even worse than mini crit damage. Mini crit damage is only 25% of the base damage. This is 30% more of the base damage. So as long as you're sticking clear of pyros, you should be fine. While overall it may sound bad, statistically speaking it's identical to the stock in every way in terms of its building ability. You repair, swing, and even upgrade your buildings at the exact same rate as the stock. If you decide to use this over the stock, you'll pretty much have a near identical experience. Now we'll start shaking things up a little bit and get into the more unique weapons. Our next weapon is the Jag, and it's all about speed. You'll gain a 50% faster swing speed, as well as the ability to construct buildings 30% faster. With these speed bonuses, your damage is hindered by 25% and your building repair rate will be decreased by 20%. Possibly the most detrimental downside about this wrench is that you will receive a 33% damage penalty to buildings. While this may seem vague in nature, it basically just means that sappers will take 3 hits to destroy rather than 2. With this added speed bonus, you should be able to repair and get your buildings up much faster. However, because of upgrades and the use of canteens and man versus machine, the Jag is not rewarded nearly as much as it is for its speed ability, making it more of a side grade to the stock wrench than anything. Overall, it can probably be used just as effective as stock and man versus machine, so there's nothing really special to comment here. Eureka! This next wrench that we have on our list is a little bit wacky in its nature. I'm of course referring to the Eureka effect. The Eureka effect has more of an unusual ability, that being your ability to teleport to spawn, as well as your teleporter exit at will, as well as granting you the ability to construct and upgrade your teleporters at only 50% of their cost, meaning that your teleporters will only cost 25 metal to construct and 100 metal to upgrade for each level. While this may sound all dandy, it has a 50% slower construction speed, as well as a 20% reduction to all metal picked up. If you have ever been caught in a situation where you are far too away from your dispenser to get metal, you'll know that any metal that you can get from ammo packs is vital. While it may be small, that 20% could mean the life or death for your building. However, in terms of its repair speed for buildings, it's identical to the stock, as well as its swing speed. While in some scenarios this wrench could work, it's overall less reliable when compared to a wrench like the stock or Southern Hospitality. Because it impairs the engineer's ability to construct his building through the slower construction speed and the less metal from ammo packs, it's better just being left non-equipped. Next up, we have the Gunslinger. No. But in all seriousness, guys, please don't equip the Gunslinger. When compared to something like just any other wrench, why would you want mini sentries? These robots can tank multiple bits of damage. You're not going to catch any robot off by surprise by using the mini sentry. You're not going to deal nearly as much damage as a level 3 sentry. You're just going to waste your time. They're going to destroy the sentry gun and run over your team because you decided to be that one engineer who used the mini sentry. So for the love of all that is holy, please don't use the Gunslinger. Ever. Unless you're trying to be a memer, please steer clear of this melee weapon for the engineer and man versus machine. Well, now that we've gone over what each wrench does, what conclusion can we come to? Well, we have 4 different wrenches that act very similar. First is stock, with no specific upsides, but no specific downsides either, thus making it a good choice for most scenarios. Next, we have the Southern Hospitality. It has a very similar story to stock, other than it adds the ability to have enemies bleed on hit, making it easier to track down cloaked spies, but it also makes you more vulnerable to pyros. Because you'll typically never encounter pyros in man vs machine, it has a very similar story to stock. It's very good for most scenarios, and is a very reliable wrench. Next, we have the Jag. It has a speed bonus, but because of the way man vs machine works, it's not nearly as effective as you may think. It's more of a side grade that has a more difficult time destroying sappers. And lastly, we have the Eureka effect. The wrench that gives the engineer the ability to teleport to spawn and his exit at his own leisure. With this, you limit the potential of repairing your buildings with a 20% less metal picked up handicap. Overall, after reviewing all of these wrenches, it just comes down to your personal preference. This is a conclusion that even I was surprised to reach, as I never put much thought into what the wrenches could actually do. But after just looking up the facts and thinking about it, I came to a conclusion that I'm actually more satisfied with than the one I had previously. While many players may yell at you for having the Eureka effect equipped in man vs machine, it can actually help the engineer in some cases with its teleportation ability, with the trade-off of having less metal, of course. Really, the Eureka effect is the only odd one out, due to its biggest change of teleportation. And compared to the other wrenches, their difference just aren't nearly as big, so it's not really as much of a factor. Thus, they don't change the gameplay as much, making them all reliable choices. So really, when it comes down to it, pick as you please. Really, you're not hurting yourself too much as long as you go with a wrench. But just make sure that whatever you equip... Never use the Gunslinger, please. Why would you use a mini sentry when you could just use a level 3 sentry? For the love of God, please don't equip the Gunslinger.
Just why? Explain this, why?
With all of this being said and done, that wraps up the video quite nicely. So I hope you guys learned a thing or two about engineers' available weapons on offer, and choose wisely. If you guys enjoyed the content, leave a like and subscribe, and comment on what your thoughts about the engineers' wrenches are. I love hearing what others have to say about these wrenches. Hearing the community's thoughts about these wrenches would definitely be interesting for a discussion, so I look forward to seeing those kind of comments in the comment section. With all that being said, this video is wrapped up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.